The views and opinions of this program presented by the host and guests do not reflect those of Bronc Radio TV nor the university. You're listening to the Political Hour here on Bronc Radio.
Welcome to another edition of the Political Hour. I am your host, Omar Jimenez. Today is Wednesday, April the 1st, 2015. Happy April Fool's Day. On this week's edition, 3 candidates will join us as the May 2015 election is underway in many different entities in our local area. As I've been covering the McAllen elections, we finally come back home later on as we'll have candidates running for Edinburg City Council for Place 4. But first, joining me on air is incumbent McAllen City Commissioner John Ingram, who has represented District 5 in the City Center for 10 years. He is being challenged by Elias, who is a designer. I've contacted him to invite him to come on the show today, but their campaign did not respond to our invitation. Mr. Ingram, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Well, thank you, Omar. I'm really glad to be here.
Talk about some of the issues that you think that needs attention over in District 5, and we'll start off with that question.
Well, during the campaign in McAllen, a lot of people have been talking about how McAllen is in decay. And, I just wanted to point out, especially in District 5, over the last 2 years, we've invested $5 million in drainage projects because there was a problem with flooding. We're investing $500,000 in new bus shelters and bus facilities, and $102,000 in sidewalks. So those were some of the issues that the candidates have been bringing up. But McAllen has really worked very hard. Of course, more can be done, but we're addressing those issues as we can with the budget. We have the 5th lowest tax rate in the whole state of Texas. And we have to do these things little by little because we don't want to have to raise taxes and, hurt small businesses, maybe run them out of McAllen.
And what would be some of the things that you would do for the whole city, not just for District 5?
Well, one of my projects that really is exciting to me is in McAllen. We know we have a lot of condemned homes. So about 2 years ago, I proposed to the commission a project called Project Imagine Tomorrow. And what we do there is we identified at that time 113 homes that were condemned and we wanted to do something with. So we started this Project Imagine Tomorrow, and under that program, we'll bring in roll-off dumpsters for free, and the homeowner or a developer can qualify too, can tear down the home, put it all in those dumpsters, and the city will take it away for free. And that can save them about $2,000 or $3,000. And in the 2 years since we started the project, we've gone from 113 condemned homes to now 63 condemned homes. We also apply that project to homes that are in need of repair, and we're looking at expanding it to vacant lots, doing some sort of an incentive to fill in the vacant lots, and also to homes that are not condemned, but no one lives in those homes. We want to see if we can come up with incentives to get people to move back into these vacant homes. And the reason why it's important, for example, in McAllen, we've had Crockett Elementary close, and it closed because it's an older facility and the area was losing population. So the whole idea behind this Project Imagine Tomorrow is to get these areas repopulated and with new homes and new neighborhoods and young families moving in so that we can help support our school district. So that's one of the things that I think I've been working on to help the city. Another thing that we're doing is I propose that we change our food truck ordinance. In McAllen, we passed this food truck ordinance. It was a great idea, but the problem was when you went into McAllen to go to a food truck, they were spread all over town. So working with the Chamber of Commerce, and I've been a member on that board for 10 years, what we're looking at is allowing these food trucks, if they want, it's all up to them, but being able to offer them promotion, free advertising, and they can use the Chamber of Commerce parking lot to set up, and all those food trucks can come together. They'll have access to water and electricity, and it's right next to the entertainment district downtown. So that ought to make the entertainment district a really nice place because you'll have access to, hopefully, 5, 6, 8 food trucks that you can go to once you're done visiting the entertainment district. So we've done a lot of different things in McAllen.
Over the last few years, a lot of development and businesses have come to McAllen, and in the last few weeks, even more businesses are planning to come here, and these are businesses that you see in major cities but not here in the Valley, so they're coming to the first time here to the Valley. How are we sure that that still continues in the city?
Well, it's real important that we work hand in hand with the university here, South Texas College, our high schools, like, for example, McAllen School District, so that we have an educated workforce. Think about it. In McAllen, I don't know, it must cost up to $1 million, or I don't know how much it must cost to raise a kid from being a very young kid to college age. We hate to have to lose those kids to other areas like Dallas, Houston, Chicago. So in order to attract business and have jobs for the people of McAllen, we need to really promote education, really promote a city that has all the amenities that other big cities have. That's why McAllen's been working so hard on our parks, working so hard on our image to make sure we have a great city to live in, great streets, roads, fire protection. And that's what we work on real hard in McAllen, so that we can keep attracting these businesses. And we've been successful. It just came out in the Monitor yesterday that McAllen just broke its sales record for the first quarter of this year, the most ever. We had a 2.3% increase in retail sales and collected $17.5 million in the first quarter of this year. But everything's looking real bright in McAllen. We've been doing well.
A big issue that's come up recently has been a lot of the tax increases and the bond packages that were voted on from STC and the 2013 bond election. And there's one, of course, coming up for McAllen ISD. How would you ensure that homeowners don't feel that they're paying more and more taxes each time these elections happen and pass?
Well, as a city commissioner, that particular issue with the bond election for the school district isn't something that I'm involved with directly. I will say, though, that I support it. And and I'm hoping that they do a very good job managing their money and they're efficient. But in McAllen, many of our schools are over 50 years old. Some are 60 and 70 years old. And I think it would do a lot on a economic development standpoint to go ahead and pass this bond, because as our neighborhoods go down, if we can bring in some new development, I think it'll bring more people into some of our neighborhoods and help the city overall. But of course, it means that they spend their money very wisely and they're careful how they do it. So I understand, that voters are real concerned about those tax issues. So I just encourage everyone to really study the issue and decide for themselves whether it's something they can support or not. But the MISD bond issue, I think in the end, if they are careful about how they handle that money, I think it's beneficial for all of us.
We're going to take a pause here, and we'll be back with more from John Ingram, the Commissioner Incumbent running for District 5 in McAllen. Don't go away here on the Political Hour. Welcome back to the Political Hour on Bronx Radio, and we are still here with John Ingram, the incumbent running for McAllen City Commissioner in District 5. And the last question, we were talking about taxes, and the next one's still going to be about taxes. But many Texas lawmakers are proposing property tax cuts, and some have proposed of doing away the property tax and replacing it with a higher sales tax. If these laws happen and pass during this session, how will it affect the city revenue?
Well, our budget is mainly from sales tax revenue. Let me see, I have those numbers right here. But yeah, I mean, it'll hurt the city. You know, I think the state legislatures need to remember that we have to run our police and our fire. We have to, you know, take care of our streets and our alleys. And they need to be very careful when they make changes like that to remember that you know, instead of passing the buck on to the cities, you know, we have a responsibility to our citizens. And I just hope that they're very careful in their decisions.
How can the city McAllen support UTPA and UTRGV when it opens in the fall?
Well, I think we have to have a city that has the amenities that these larger universities are going to be looking for. The students coming in are going to want a city with great parks, great places to live, you know, great restaurants, great shopping, great entertainment, and that's what we're trying to do in McAllen. You've seen our linear parks, the Bicentennial Trail. We have those so that you know, people can get out and get exercise. And what I think would be a great idea would be to hook up with Edinburg and work with Edinburg to extend those trails all the way into the university here. But that's what we need to do as a city, just have a city where people want to live, want to stay after they get out and get their education, and work to provide jobs for them when they get out.
Name 3 things that you would brag about McAllen.
I think we're very forward-looking. I think we've, you know, as far as a city, I think it's a great place for jobs. You know, we have a very low unemployment rate compared to the rest of the region, and I think it's a city that has very good government. That's what I think is best about McAllen.
Last question. Why should people vote for you?
Well, just to give you some background, I'm an attorney. I do Social Security disability and veterans disability benefits. I've been on the City Commission for 10 years. I've worked really hard. I'm on the committee that's building the Performing Arts facility here. It's going to be an incredible facility once it's done. I'm on the Ansel Lewis Bridge Board, the Hidalgo Bridge Board. McAllen owns the majority interest in those 2 bridges. I worked really, really hard for my district, and I would continue working. It's an honor. It's really a privilege to be an elected official, and I see my job as providing a service to the community, and I'm willing to do it. I have the time, and would appreciate everyone voting for me.
Thank you, Mr. Ingram, for coming on the show today. Remember that this election for District 5 will be taking place May 9th, along with District 6 in the southeast side of town. Early voting begins April 27th. Also, don't forget that this Saturday, the special election will be taking place for District 1 in the northeast side of town. This is the seat to fill the vacancy by Scott Crane, who died in office. The candidates running are Javier Villalobos, Richard Cortez, Eduardo Hinojosa, and Debbie Crane Alicera. You may vote at Gonzalez Elementary School, located on 201 Martin Avenue. Make sure to make your voice count. Up next on the Political Hour, we'll have candidates running for Edinburg City Council for Place 4, Elias Longoria Jr., the Incumbent, and David Torres will be on the air next. Don't go away. We have more on the Political Hour on Bronx Radio. Welcome back to the Political Hour on Bronx Radio. We are so glad that you're with us here on the second half. In this half, we have the candidates now in the studios running for Edinburg City Council for Place 4. 2 people are running for this seat. The incumbent is Elias Longoria Jr. and the challenger, David Torres, are here with us. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, Omar. Good afternoon. Thank you.
We're going to begin with introductions, and we'll start with Mr. Torres.
Sure. Okay.
Yes, begin.
Okay, we're ready to begin. Hello, my name is David Torres. I was a former school board member in Edinburg for 2 terms. I served for 8 years. I am a local businessman. I have been in business for over 15 years in my businesses. I've been very involved with the community. I am seeking to serve the city of Edinburg to bring my leadership style, my approach, and to continue to serve the community. Many people had asked me to continue to serve. And although I had said that I was going to take a break and so forth, I did take a break. I was able to analyze my businesses, and things are going well. So I decided to continue to try to serve. I'm bringing this message as far as reaching out to the community, accessibility, hard work, service, and continue to do what I did for 8 years on the school board, but bring to the city.
Thank you, Mr. Torres. Mr. Longoria.
Thank you, Omar. I have had my first term on City Council. I spent 4 years on council, 2 years of which I've spent as Mayor Pro Tem also for the City of Edinburg. I have spent 30 years in banking, have 30 years of finance and background. I've spent several years on numerous clubs volunteering. I have been on the Boys and Girls Club board for 7 years. I've been on the Food Bank board of the Rio Grande Valley for 9 years. I've been president of both those groups. I currently serve on the Edinburg Rotary Club board, and I've been president of that organization also. So my background is extensive. I have done a hard work. I've done a lot of hard work for the community already in the city. We've brought several items that we wanted to bring to the community. They've already come to fruition. There's a couple other jobs that I want to continue to work on and be able to finish with another term. So that's my request to the community, is to keep me in office.
Thank you, Mr. Longoria. And we'll continue on with the next question for you. We are having some rules here of 2 minutes each candidate will have for the opening and closing statements, and all the other questions will be a minute. So the next question for Mr. Longoria, what would be some of the things that you would do for the whole city?
Well, right now I'm working on a project that is the rebuilding of the old Edinburg Library on the east side. That's one of the projects that I was involved in, and I'd like to see that thing finished. We've got drawings already done for it. Financing should be in place, and we are working on getting that built and established for the kids on the east side of the community. At the same time, I would also like to say that one of the challenges that we have and that we need to get into would be infrastructure for the community. So we're working on streets, roads, and improvements of that nature.
Thank you, Mr. Longoria. Mr. Torres, the same question to you.
Yes, for the whole city of Edinburg, what I would like to do is, as a school board member, I saw many needs that we can work together as both entities, and there's several that we can bring forward. One of the main things, it may not be a popular one, but I see it as a need, is we need to start looking into, like the city of FAR. I don't know how they did it, but if I do become a council member, I want to start moving in that direction, as finding out how we find a better swimming facility for our whole community. There's lots of other things that we can work on. I agree with Mr. Longoria as far as the library. That is a great project, but I do think that we should have started on that several years ago. As far as working on roads and infrastructure, I totally agree on that also, but those are things that I believe should have been already in action, because it takes a few years for those things to come into fruition. So they should already be coming forth, and that's exactly the type of leadership I'm going to push.
Thank you, Mr. Torres. And the next question will go to you. How will you use your experience and background on the City Commission once elected?
My experience and background, it's very simple. What I'll do is I'll let the leaders lead. What I'll do is bring a direction and vision that we did the way we did on the school board. I will be accessible, very approachable. I'll be open to all ideas. Not everybody has the main ideas, the best ideas, but everybody, when you come together, you come together and you come up with a great idea. I've been able to work with all kinds of people. As far as whether they supported me or not, it doesn't matter. Once elections are over, we're one community and we get the best idea. That's the type of work that I've shown as a board member. That's the type of work that I'll bring to the city, and I'll work for the city of Edinburg.
Thank you very much, Mr. Torres. The same question goes to Mr. Longoria.
Well, I think the experience that I have is immeasurable. I have 30 years of finance and background that's helped me with contracts and going over details that are the minutiae that we have to deal with in the city. So those are not difficult things to do, but when you have the background and the experience that I do, I had a very small learning curve, and I was able to hit the ground running as I spent 2 years before that on the Edinburg Economic Development Council board, and that agenda is quite similar to the one that we have with the city. So It's in effect going to be something that we're already doing. These things that my opponent is talking about are happening, and so my experience will be immeasurable.
Thank you. And that also leads into my next question. And as you all know, Edinburg is bringing a lot of businesses and development. A lot of other businesses are popping up here in Edinburg that we've never seen in the valley, that you see in the big cities, and of course with the new arena open up. How would both of y'all make sure that this continues? And we'll begin with Mr. Longoria.
Well, again, we talk about infrastructure, and although my opponent says that we should have talked about those years ago, well, we have talked about it over time. We have been preparing for that. It's not something that we can do overnight. So infrastructure is still going to be key because we're going to continue to expand and bring more businesses coming. Now with the opening of the arena that we've spearheaded on council right now, it's going to develop and bring more businesses to the community, and those things are going to have to be taken care of. And as far as a new swimming area, we'll have to talk about that in the future. But we have two pools in the community, and that pool I think that Mr. Torres is talking about is a natatorium, and which would be really beneficial to the school district, but not so much to the city. We'll have to look at that.
Thank you. Mr. Torres, the same question?
Yes, with the arena, my experience and what I've learned as being a board member, that's a big project. It's great for the community. I'm all for it. It is a positive thing. Those things have worked well for the city of Edinburg. But we also need this experience to make sure that we're talking about tax dollars. We have to do things on budget and on time. I've proven that I can be part of a team that will do that. We need to make sure that we deliver the product effectively so that the community will want to invest in those type of projects in the future. So that's my take on that. It's a type of leadership that I bring. It's very simple, it's proven, and I will continue to do the same, and I'll have the same philosophy.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break here on the Political Hour on Bronx Radio, and there's more to come here with the candidates running for Edinburg City Council for Place 4. Elias Longoria Jr. is here with us, and David Torres. So don't go away. We have more on the Political Hour. Welcome back to the Political Hour on Bronx Radio. We are so glad that you are with us here. And right now we have candidates here at the studios running for Edinburg City Council for Place 4. Elias Longoria Jr. and David Torres are here. And we'll continue with our Lunch with the Candidates segment here. And we're going to begin with one question about taxes. As there are many Texas lawmakers during this session proposing a lot of property tax cuts, and some of them have proposed with doing away with property taxes and replacing it with a higher sales tax. If any of those bills pass in this session this year, how will you think it would affect the city revenue-wise? And we'll begin with Mr. Torres.
I know that if that were to happen, that would affect the city tremendously. As a businessman, you roll with what was brought to you. I don't know what the legislature is going to do. I don't know what direction they're going to take. I have experience as a board member with dealing with these things as far as the legislature. As a president on the school board, we were given many cuts, and we were able to sustain our employees and find ways. I know how to look into budgets. I know how to work with directors. I know how to push the right buttons to make sure that we find the monies if we're given those cuts. We'll leave that to the legislature. As a businessman, we will find a way to survive, and we'll reinvent the wheel if we have to. But hopefully that doesn't happen, because I know that would affect the city tremendously.
Thank you, Mr. Torres. Mr. Longoria, the same question?
I'd have to agree that would be it would not be beneficial to the city to be a taxing only with sales tax. Ad valorem taxes is really what runs this community and what runs the city. Sales tax would be great for McAllen because they have more attractions right now. The smaller cities would be the ones that would suffer. Edinburg would probably be able to manage, but the difficulty would be for the smaller communities in trying to survive with just sales taxes only. So Edinburg would definitely be hurt by it. It wouldn't be impossible, but it certainly would make things more difficult. Those issues would have to be visited if we had to come to that point. But I just really don't see it being able to work for anybody like that. At this point, I think the city works fine as is, but I think we'd have our legislators talking in support of the Rio Grande Valley and looking for all alternative issues in instances that might happen.
Thank you. The next question, how can the City of Edinburg support UTPA and UTRGV when it opens in the fall?
I think we already do, Omar. I think that the relationship that we have with the university at City Hall and with the school district and with county government is exemplary right now. We've never had a more open relationship. We have joint meetings with everyone, and everyone is always available to come and voice their opinions with City Hall. Our relationship will continue to grow. We're integral in getting the medical school established here and getting that started. So right now, what we have with the district and with the university is extremely popular and fruitful. So I think we will be fine. We'll continue to have that relationship that already exists and make it even better.
Thank you, Mr. Longoria. The same question to Mr. Torres.
I agree with Mr. Longoria. What's working right now with the district, the university, and the city is working well, but we can enhance that. I live in the area of the university, and small things like roads, traffic flow, and so forth, especially as the university grows, we have to be proactive and continue to work on those things, and those are things that we can bring forward that are going to help in general, that are going to affect immediately. And this is when I talk about things that come now. I'm also a proponent, and I'm glad the city is moving forward. We have Chick-fil-A, even though we know we have one here. We have great things going. I've been fortunate to visit places across the country where universities are the center of life. We need to continue to proactively develop that, and eventually maybe someday be like a Boston or a San Marcos, and we can do that in Edinburg.
Thank you, Mr. Torres. Name 3 things that you will brag about Edinburg, and the question will begin with you.
Number one thing I can brag about Edinburg is its school district and the fact that we are in the city of Edinburg. It's the biggest employer. It's been promoted that our school district, which has done well, which I'm proud to be a part of, has been instrumental in promoting Edinburg, whether it's for business, whether it's for homes, whether it's for people moving down, or whether it's for students relocating to UTPA. I'm very proud of that. Of course, it's people. I'm very tight with its people, so is Mr. Longoria. We're both servicemen. It's people and of course, the demographics. I've been raised here. I love being in Edinburg, so does Mr. Longoria. But definitely, for me, it's the school district and how we can tie that and continue to strengthen that with the city.
Thank you, Mr. Torres. Mr. Longoria, the same question.
To narrow it down would be difficult, Omar, but if I had to pick 3 things, I would include the school district in there. They are exemplary and they do a fine job. With that, we attract more business and more people to the community. But I would also include the university and the medical district. Our medical district has grown immensely, and I think that new medical school here is going to continue to make it grow. So I think those 3 things would be key and probably the best attributes that we have in this community.
Thank you, Mr. Longoria. Now we have a bonus question that I would like to ask here on the Political Hour. And the surprise bonus question is you get to ask each other a question.
Oh, my
So we'll begin with Mr. Longoria asking a question to Mr. Torres. You'll have 1 minute to respond.
I think I would like to ask Mr. Torres what he feels that what I'm not doing right, that he should run against me, and what he thinks he can do better.
Mr. Torres, you have a minute to respond.
I feel that I can be more accessible than Mr. Longoria. As a school board member, it's unfortunate. I didn't realize you were going to ask this question. And we're both running positive campaigns, but I tried to reach out with him several times and I could not communicate with him. I have had feedback from the community, and I am a person that can be reached and located, and I've proven that. Another thing is that as a person who is involved in government, as a group, I have been able to successfully work with others, as I mentioned before, and I will bring that to the city and be able to work with all ideas and come up with the best idea.
Thank you, Mr. Torres. And now you get to ask a question to Mr. Longoria.
I really don't have a question to ask of Mr. Longoria. My campaign is basically geared at what I'm going to do and what I want to do, and that's how I've always run my campaigns. I know that this is a question that you brought up, but I'm totally focused on what I want to bring to the community. So I wish Mr. Longoria well. My family has always run a positive campaign. We've done it several times before. We've been successful at it, and we'll leave it at that, and we'll let the people decide.
I'll rebut that a little bit, because I know
1 minute.
Go ahead.
that he said that I'm not accessible, but people know where I work. People stop by there. He stopped by there himself to come visit me. So I know that he knows where I am. He has my numbers, and I have not received any phone calls or I want people to know that I am accessible for the people that don't know. But anybody that has tried to access me has always had success for that. And so if I missed a phone call or something, I apologize for that. But that I'm not accessible is false.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Longoria. And now we have one more question, and this time you'll have 2 minutes to state your cases on why voters should vote for you. So we'll begin with Mr. Longoria.
Thank you, Mike. Right down to from the very beginning, we've stated, our campaign has stated that what we are trying to do is continue the exemplary performance that Edinburg has shown over the last few years. Since I've been on council, we've included many things and positives that have come to the city of Edinburg. And my experience, my 30 years in banking, my degree from Pan American University in finance has helped me to hit the ground running. So when I hit the ground running when I was elected in 2011, I was able to start working immediately on what we were wanting to get accomplished within the city. All the things that we've done have been positive. We have not had to raise taxes. We have just broken ground on an expansion of our water plant. We're not going to have to raise any fees or costs for that. And so that's part of the planning that we have done over the last few years. If we want to improve roads, we want to make all those conditions happen, but they can't be done today immediately like my opponent would propose. What we have to do is plan and strategize that, because there's only so much money that we have to spend every year. We have to start increasing things. We've annexed some new properties in the area, some new areas of town, and we have to start talking about infrastructure to them too. So these kinds of things are all super important to us, and those are the issues that we have to deal with immediately and here into the future for the city of Edinburg. So I would venture to say that my experience, my background, my accessibility is all part of the positive things that will go forth in keeping me ready for the next 4 years and keeping Edinburg on the path that we're headed right now, which is extremely positive.
Thank you, Mr. Longoria. Mr. Torres, 2 minutes.
Yes, sir. Planning is instrumental. I believe that and Mr. Longoria is correct when he says that budgets, and you can't do things overnight, but you have to work on those budgets through time. You have to have those visions in place so that you can start making those things happen. I experienced that as a board member. I know we can do it in the city. Now, as a board member, I think our budget was twice as big as the city's budget. So I know that we can work on those things. I don't know what the finances are. I don't have that information, those detailed information. But whatever we have to work with, we can continue to move forward. I want to bring my experience as a leader in the community to help the community move forward, continue to help the city move forward in the positive direction that it is, and continue to enhance the relationship with the entities that we already have. I humbly ask for the support of the community as we continue to work hard. We'll continue to give our message to the community, and we'll let the people decide in the end. And I come from a hardworking, humble background, and everything I've had to do, I've had to work hard for, and this is no different. So I will continue to take my message to the streets and to the community, and we'll let the people decide. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Torres. This election will be on May 9th. Early voting begins on April the 27th. Thank you, gentlemen, for being on the show today.
Thank you.
This wraps up this edition of the Political Hour. We're off next week since our staff will be heading off, including myself, to the annual Texas Intercollegiate Press Association meet in San Antonio. But on the next edition, I'll be having candidates running for McAllen School Board on the show. Until then, have a great weekend, and don't forget to like my Facebook page for updates at www.facebook.com/Omar Jimenez BRTV and our station's Facebook page at www.facebook.com/Bronx TV Radio. From there, if you miss any part of today's program, you'll be able to listen to it from my page. Thank you again for listening, and as always, there's more coming up on Bronx Radio. Have a great day.